How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be continuing talking about Creepshow Season 2, the Shudder original TV series. This is Season 2, Episode 3, The Right Snuff and Sibling Rivalry from 2021. Our episodes this time are directed by Rusty Cundieff and Joe Lynch, and also on the writing team we have Batman legend Paul Dini here, so really cool to see him. And as far as special guest stars this time around, we get Molly Ringwald from all those classic 80s movies. And overall, this is another fun Creepshow episode. The setups are really different this time around. They do kind of go into standard Creepshow territory, but the setups are different, and they both have some pretty fun twist along the way, but that is, that is to be expected from Creepshow, and some pretty cool moments, although with the twist, both episodes kind of have a little bit where they kind of over-explain and really spell it out to you, but always cool to get a fun little twist there. So, overall, these two episodes were pretty good. Not the best thing ever, but it's cool to see the series put itself in a new location and try something new. Most notably, we get the space episode this time around, which was really fun, but we also get a high school episode, which I don't think they've really done before either. So, cool, different settings, and putting the Creepshow formula into them. It's really fun. Not the best episode ever, but really, really fun. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about the specifics. I'm going to go ahead and dive into the plots, but I'm not going to do any major spoilers. But I want to say my piece on a few plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what these stories are about. So nothing major. But The Right Snuff. The Right Snuff is a space story. And at first it kind of might seem weird. There have been classic horror and space movies, think Alien, right? But to do Creepshow set in space actually does make a lot of sense. One of the comic magazines that heavily inspired Creepshow, Creepy magazine, they would do sci-fi and sword and sorcery a lot more than people think. And they would always, it would turn into horror, it would turn into a dark twist. But there was a ton of sci-fi and fantasy and creepy, and that makes me wonder if on down the line we'll get a sword and sorcery episode of Creepshow. That is one thing they haven't touched on yet. But anyway, in this you get two astronauts in a spaceship. A strange, mysterious thing starts to fly at their ship. They don't know what it is, but one astronaut gets the idea to repurpose their gravity drive and kind of make it into a shield to deflect the thing away from them. After that, we get to find out a little bit more about these astronauts. The one astronaut has invented a gravity device that is really, really helpful, and the other astronaut's there to help him along. This astronaut, last name Toomey. Now, if you guys are Stephen King fans, Toomey, you might recognize that last name as the crazy guy from the Langoliers who, was pressured by his overbearing father, and that was a plane. This is a spaceship. So the Toomey here is more than likely a distant relative of the Toomey seen in the Langoliers, which, that's just really fun, You gotta see an alternate version of the Grady twins from The Shining back in, I think it was Season 1, Episode 1, Story 1. So it is cool to see, alternate versions / relatives of people from Stephen King stories. And you get to see he's going down a similar plot to Craig Toomey from the Langoliers. He's feeling a lot of pressure from his father, and it's driving him insane. You see, his father was, an important astronaut in the past, and he's always worrying about measuring up, and he wants to be the first at something, And he's seeing shadow ghost versions of his father, and the shadow ghosts are pretty cool. I just wish that could have got pushed further, and we could have seen the ghost of his father actually running around the station, but okay, we're keeping him in the shadows. but he's feeling pressure from his father to be a bigger, more important person, but here he is in space, but he's tagging along to the guy that actually invented the thing. But then, to set things up even further, NASA reveals to them that they've actually been talking to aliens, and they want to finally establish first face-to-face contact, and NASA chooses the other guy, the guy that invented the gravity drive, to go and talk to the aliens and not to me. So he is feeling a lot of pressure and a lot of anger, and he wants to be the one to talk to the aliens. So we can kind of guess where this is going. We can kind of know that he's going to be driven more and more insane, but there are still some good twists to this. And if you guys like The Shining, there's that reference to the shot of Jack at the door, you know? Not here's Johnny, but where it's looking up at him, that one. So I did like that little, you know, couple Stephen King references here. And like I said, there is a bit of a twist, even though it is kind of in a longer talky sequence. But I do really overall like this one, you know. 2 astronauts on their way to meet aliens, and one of them is just fuming, you know. So classic Creepshow stuff, but this time in space. And then you get Sibling Rivalry. Sibling Rivalry, definitely the B story after going to space, but still pretty fun. And I think this the one with Molly Ringwald in it. But you get this girl going to see her guidance counselor, and she says, "I have a problem. I think my brother is trying to kill me." That's a good hook. And after that, you get her telling the story of her weird last couple of days, and it is kind of hard to follow her because she talks fast and she gets distracted, but this is just the first part of the story. It's not the whole time. And you get to see her talking about how her brother will do something a little weird and a little off, and then the counselor's like, I don't think that means anything. Yeah, it's a little weird, but it doesn't mean he's trying to murder you. And then you do get some weird elements in her story, and you're like, okay, that might be something as well. But she eventually confronts her brother, and then we get kind of a cool he said, she said type story, where some of the weird things that were in her story are explained when it's told from his point of view. And overall, this is a really cool one. Just the idea of, hey, I think my brother's trying to kill me. That's a cool setup. And this, of course, like the last one, does have a pretty cool twist in it. You know, when you get to see things from his perspective, you're like, oh, that's what that was all about. Okay. And they even go so far as to, you know, not really a plot twist, but taking it at that very last moment in yet another unexpected direction, you know, for the very end. And it really did feel like something the old magazines would do, you know, and just taking that one extra step right at the end to push it farther into wacky territory. That's pretty cool. You know, it's not, you know, the biggest, most over-the-top episode. Actually, this is one that, looking at it, it didn't have terribly many big sets and not terribly many actors. And I noticed that a few of these, you know, they do like a bigger episode and then a more small, confined episode. But even with the smaller, more confined episodes, they're getting really smart with their budget and going, okay, we can't do anything too crazy. How can we write a story that takes place primarily in a counselor's office in a house, but, you know, really write it well to, you know, play with what we have. You know, there's that first season, Times is Tough and Muskie Holler, that was just really murdered by budget, but we're starting to see with a few of Season 2's episodes that are, you know, smaller in scale stories, but wind up really being entertaining, that, you know, they are taking more time in the writing stage to, you know, set up cool character beats and stuff, and you're starting to see the show really use its budget a lot smaller, because, you know, this is a smaller story, but it doesn't really feel like a smaller story, and it really hooks you in wanting to know where all these characters are going. So that is good to see, and overall, I really did like this episode. Not the best one of the series or anything, but a fun episode. We get to go to space at first, and then we get a fun, you know, multi-point of view story at the end. And hey, space and high school, those are places this series hasn't been to before, and I do find it really interesting. But yeah, I like this episode pretty well. Maybe I'll do rankings at the end of the season or something, I don't know. But this was overall pretty good, and I definitely recommend it. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thanks for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You're really helping the channel out. I'll put a relevant playlist at the bottom. If you guys want to see more, you can click there and see more. This should probably be my Creepshow playlist. So if you want to see my reviews for the past episodes, those should be in this playlist right there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.